ever hear from me? I was fighting for us.
Yes.
You just stopped caring.
I can tell you the exact second my marriage died. It was 4:17 p.m. in Hartwind's glass boardroom under cold white light, with 9 directors staring and 2 lawyers trying hard not to exist. My wife, Evelyn Hart, CEO, cover girl, America's favorite supply chain savior, dropped her pen. It bounced, rolled, and stopped at my shoe. She didn't bend. Evelyn hasn't bent for anyone in years. That's part of her brand, the woman who doesn't flinch. She just looked at me like I was housekeeping and said, clear as glass. Pick it off the ground. The table laughed. If you have never heard a room of rich people laugh at you, I'll describe it. It's not loud, it's not even honest. It's this low, sticky sound like warm syrup. They don't laugh because it's funny, they laugh because it's expected. Colin, main investor, custom suit, liver face, covered his grin with his fist like he was being polite. Priya, PR director, architect of Evelyn's legend, stared at her phone to avoid making eye contact, which is just her way of saying I approve of this, but I don't want fingerprints on it. Lucas, chief strategy officer, $20 haircut sold as $500, the man Evelyn was sleeping with while I was still fixing her servers, leaned back and smirked. Everybody watched me. People think betrayal hits like gunfire. They picture shouting, broken glass, overturned chairs. That's not how it goes. Betrayal is 8 beats of silence while a $40,000 pen lies by your shoe and the woman you married tells you to pick it up in front of a board, and every person in that room wants to see whether you kneel. I didn't kneel. I stood up slow. My chair scraped tile. You could hear that scrape across the whole table, and that stupid little sound embarrassed them more than anything I could have said. I did not pick up the pen. I did not speak. I looked at my wife, the woman who used to fall asleep with her knees touching mine in a one-bedroom with duct tape over the windows and a landlord who forgot heat, and then I turned and walked out. No scene, no yelling. I just stopped being in the room. That was day 1. At 7:42 p.m., my phone rang. I have chosen to sever all contact, Evelyn said. No hello, no preamble. She went straight into corporate voice like she was reading legal language. Effective immediately. Do not come to my office. Do not come to the condo. Do not contact any member of my team. You will be hearing from counsel tomorrow regarding division of assets. Stay away forever. Behind her, buried under bar noise, I heard a man's voice laugh through his nose. Lucas, I said, you will regret it. That's all. 3 words. I didn't say them loud. She hung up. I heard Lucas in the background say, nice, like she'd landed a pitch. People hear regret and think it's about sadness. I don't use the word that way. When I say regret, I mean I will take from you what you think nobody can take. By midnight, Hartwind's investor chat would be in full fire, the after-hours price would be in free fall, and Lucas would be on his knees in a private parking garage begging me not to open my mouth. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you that when I said you will regret it, it wasn't a threat. It was a schedule. Understand this right now. I didn't snap because she cheated. People cheat. It's disgusting and it's lazy, and half the time it's about ego, not love. That wasn't what broke me. What broke me was paperwork. Evelyn didn't just dump me. She tried to erase me. As the story unfolds, hit the hype button, like subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive them or walk away? Our condo was still both our names on the deed. Harbor City, 11th floor, Riverview. Doorman who says, "Evening, Mr. Cole," in a voice that makes it clear he knows who signs the Christmas envelopes, and it's not me. Inside smelled like bergamot and money. Her shoes were lined up like soldiers. Her suits lived in garment bags with her initials on the zipper pulls. There were magazines on the kitchen island, all fanned out like trophies. Every cover had her face. The woman fixing American biologics. How Evelyn Hart saved cold chain logistics. The disruptor biotech needed. The lighting in the photos made her cheekbones look carved. She always said lighting is the difference between being a story and being the person the story is about. I picked up one interview and read, "In the early days, I was alone, working out of a coffee shop with nothing but a laptop and a stubborn belief that data could save lives," she told the reporter. Alone. That one word hit harder than the pen. Because I remember the early days. The early days were a 2-bedroom over a pawn shop with crap insulation where you could hear the neighbor coughing through the wall. The early days were her cold-calling hospitals while I wrote code at 2 a.m. to stitch small, semi-reliable refrigerated couriers into something that could pass for a secure chain of custody system. We were broke. We were scared. She said we. We used to say we like breathing. Somewhere between broke and glossy, we became I. That's not just ego. That's legal positioning. If she built it alone, then I'm just a guy who watched. And a guy who watched doesn't get a share when the number gets big. Beside the magazine was her brand book. Priya had made it. It was thick, tabbed, organized, and gross. Wardrobe colors for stage appearances, approved adjectives, fake-sounding natural laughs to use on panels. There were entire pages of Q&A blocks with pre-written humility. Page 12, under personal life, read, Q. How did you meet your husband? A. When I was building Hartwin, I needed a vendor to help with back-end systems. Daniel saw the vision and supported me from the sidelines so I could scale. I'm so grateful. Vendor, sidelines, supported me. That's how I got rewritten. Vendor, sidelines. I wasn't supportive from the sidelines. I was the one who built the routing logic she still uses. I drafted the provisional patent language because we couldn't afford counsel. I was the one who drove to regional carriers and rental cars and convinced them to trust a nobody startup with life-critical shipments by showing the math I wrote on takeout napkins. I was in the room for the first yes. I know exactly how that backbone was built because I built it, but in her binder, I was just a kind vendor who believed in her. There was a whole crisis section at the back. I turned to it, and my stomach went cold. In recent months, we have experienced escalating harassment from Daniel Cole, the estranged spouse of our CEO. His behavior has caused Evelyn significant distress and forced her to seek protective measures. We ask for privacy as we address this sensitive personal matter. Escalating harassment. Significant distress. Protective measures. That was in print. It was polished. It was stamped yesterday. Yesterday, before the board meeting, before the call, before the pen. So this wasn't a reaction. This was baked. They had already written a narrative where I was the unstable ex, the harasser, the threat to her safety. They had it queued up to send to investors, board, and, if needed, press. All they had to do was hit send, and suddenly anything that came out of my mouth would look like jealous rage from a man who can't let go. That's how you erase somebody for business purposes. You position them as dangerous, and then when you boot them out, you call it safety. I flipped more pages. There it was, a draft of a personal safety statement for early distribution to investors if needed. Priya's touch was all over it. The tone was shaking but brave. Evelyn painted as victim. Me painted as escalating, obsessive, unpredictable, unstable. That was going to go out in the morning. The part that made me see white wasn't even that they'd planned to throw my name into the wood chipper. It was that the timing on all this lined up perfectly with Colin's attempt to get new money out of Chicago. I had heard snippets in the kitchen. Colin telling her, "We can't have optics issues walking into that room. Clean up your personal situation. I can't pitch you as a clean product if your husband is still whatever he is. Clean up your personal situation. Whatever he is." That was me. She didn't just dump me. She didn't just cheat. She packaged me for disposal and pre-wrote her crying. I opened her desk drawer. Evelyn is neat and not paranoid. She uses the same 4-digit code for everything that matters because unique codes are wasted RAM. She said that to me once like it was cute. The drawer opened on hotel invoices. The King's Landing Hotel in Rhode Island, 2 nights, terrace suite. Billed Hartwin Strategic Offsite. 2 breakfasts for 2. A plate of chocolate strawberries, discreet. A bar tab with 3 martinis and 1 whiskey. Signed on her corporate card with a note to, "Please code as Brand Strategy Advisory Consult." Brand strategy is what they call Lucas. Under that, Harbor City Motors. Down payment on a matte gray German coupe. Field outreach and market positioning. Signed, Brand Strategy Advisory Logistics Walkthrough. The amount could have paid one of her junior engineers for half a year. Under that, a Peloton and a luxury gym membership coded Talent Development, Executive Wellness. Delivery address was Lucas's building. People cheat. It's gross. It's boring. It's biology mixed with ego. I can process that. That was colder than cheating. That was planned disposal. I took photos. Every invoice, every line item, every fake label. Then I opened my laptop. Let me pause because you need to understand the part that comes next or the rest of this story doesn't land. Hartwin isn't a biotech lab. Hartwin is a delivery spine. The pitch is simple and sounds noble. We get life-sensitive biologics to clinics and hospitals fast, at the right temperature, with complete traceability. You need that. Patients need that. The government needs you to do that right. To do that, Hartwin uses a web of carriers, refrigerated couriers, regional cold chain haulers, air freight partners. All that has to be logged, documented, and audited by people who do not care about your margins and absolutely do care about chain of custody. In year 1, we were too small to get in with the big legacy carriers. so I built a routing and tracking platform that stitched together reliable mid-size couriers and layered our own QC process on top. I negotiated sweetheart deals, I wrote temperature excursion alerts, I put in stopgaps so nothing slipped to save a buck. Later, after the funding, after the glossy features, after Lucas started floating around with his sleeves rolled just so, Hartwind started swapping in cheaper carriers without waiting for full validation, because cheaper this quarter looks like discipline on a slide deck. Lucas called it efficiency. I called it, this will light you on fire. We stopped talking about it. Tonight, sitting in that cold condo kitchen, I logged into Supplier Uplink using the consultant access I still had under my own LLC, read only. Still active, because nobody bothered to cut it. Not hacking, not sneaking. Supplier Uplink showed live routing. At 8:55 p.m., a high-sensitivity biologic shipment was in motion under carrier Group Northeast 3. Northeast 3 is one of the cut-rate regional carriers Lucas loves. I hate them. Their paperwork is sloppy, their trucks are old, and their drivers treat maintain refrigerated environment. Like a suggestion. I flagged them months ago. Lucas pushed them in anyway because they ran 11% cheaper. The route I saw was ugly. 2 required QA sign-offs were flagged as bypassed for efficiency. Exec override. The override ID was Lucas's. You don't bypass QA on high-sensitivity biologics. You just don't. You do that, and an auditor will carve you open with phrases like negligent handling and unvetted carrier. That's not bad press. That's lawsuits. So I took screenshots. Every leg. Every note. Every missing stamp. Then I called Martin Klein. Martin is head of operations. He looks like a man who hasn't sat down in 5 years. He isn't loyal to Evelyn. He isn't loyal to Colin. He's loyal to, does this shipment arrive cold so nobody dies? He picked up sounding half asleep. Dan, it's late. Listen, I said. There's a Northeast 3 run moving right now under Lucas's override. 2 QA checkpoints marked bypassed as for efficiency. It's logged as high sensitivity. If an auditor looks at this tomorrow, it's your head on the block unless you document right now that you weren't notified and that you objected. Where are you seeing this? He said. His voice sharpened fast. Supplier Uplink, I said. My read-only's still on because I'm still technically Strategic Systems Advisor through my LLC. I haven't touched anything. I'm not saying this as a threat. I'm saying this to protect you. Send an email to yourself and legal. Use the words compliance risk and escalating to leadership for immediate review. Blind copy your personal. Timestamp it now before that truck hits a hospital dock. Silence. Then keys clacking. Martin breathing hard through his nose. Done, he said. Jesus Christ. Did Evelyn sign off on this? I'm telling you I see Lucas's override ID, I said. You saw what I saw. She's going to try to say I greenlit this, Martin whispered. Not if you're first in the record, I said. This is me protecting you. Don't repeat my name. Just keep your paper trail tight. He exhaled, shaky. Why are you doing this? He asked. Because she told me to stay away forever, I said. So I'm staying away from anything illegal. I hung up. Then I wrote 2 emails. Not to a reporter, not to the FDA, not to the cops. To 2 angel investors who love to feel like they're on the inside. Guys who brag about getting in early on Hartwind to their golf buddies. Guys who are loud until real risk shows up. Guys like that are walking alarms if you shake them right. Anonymous burner. Simple wording. I am flagging an urgent concern before market open. Last night, Hartwind appears to have pushed high-sensitivity biologics through a discount carrier without full QA sign-off under an exec override to improve cost optics ahead of a rumored liquidity event. Ops has now escalated internally, citing compliance risk. If you have exposure, you may want board clarity on protocol before market open, because any perception of regulatory negligence at this stage could invite oversight that would materially impact. Translation in investor language. I heard negligence. I heard oversight. Your money might catch fire. Call Colin. Panic. You don't need to shout to start a fire. You whisper the right words to the right egos and let them burn each other. 9:37 p.m., Hartwind internal Slack went into alarm mode. I still had passive access because nobody had remembered to scrub Strategic Systems Advisor from half the message groups. My name was still in the Compliance distro, the Investor Panic distro, and the Crisis PR distro. They'd kicked me out of the party chat, not the fire alarm chat. Priya in the public thread. We are getting investor calls about a QA bypass and regulatory risk on Northeast 3. Where's this coming from? Who said audit? Who said oversight? This cannot hit morning. Priya to Evelyn privately. Colin is melting down. Down 32 after hours on rumor. He's saying you exposed him personally. He's saying you're boy toy. He's asking if we pushed unlicensed carriers to juice margin. What happened? Why is Martin emailing paper trail language like he's already in front of a regulator? Fix Lucas. Fix this. Colin to Evelyn and Priya, and me, accidentally, because they forgot to pull me off the list. If one more call asks whether you've been using unvetted couriers because your boy toy thought it would be smart to polish the margin before I sit down with Chicago, I walk. Get this husband situation contained now. He is already a liability. Priya, craft statement. Boy toy, husband situation. Before open. Investors speak in capital letters when they smell smoke. Then Priya to Evelyn. We move the personal safety narrative up. We say you've been under escalating harassment from Daniel and you're pursuing legal protection. We frame any noise coming from him as an unstable ex trying to punish her. We do it now so Chicago knows to ignore anything he dumps in their ear. I can get something out at 5 a.m. If we get ahead of it, we control context. That was it. That was the full playbook. Naked. 1. Lucas cuts corners to hit number. 2. Martin sees it because I make him. 3. I quietly tell 2 investors. Ask about compliance right now. 4. Investors freak. 5. Colin freaks. 6. Priya tries to save valuation by painting me as an unhinged stalker so they can call everything I say emotional harassment instead of regulatory negligence. 7. My name becomes a trash bag they can tie over their mess. They thought I was just going to sit there and let them pour that over me. At 10:12 p.m., I picked up my keys. Regret, she said. Time to start the clock. Lucas lives down by the harbor in one of those restored mill lofts that used to be a place where people lost fingers and now is a place where people do content strategy at kitchen islands that cost more than a forklift. His building has a private garage like it's Fort Knox. The gate is digital, the cameras are shiny, the security is a bored guy with a clipboard and too much trust. Evelyn had borrowed my car last week and used my name to get visitor access for that garage. Nobody deleted it. So when I tapped in tonight, the gate rolled up like I belonged there. That's not hacking. That's poor admin hygiene. The garage was mostly quiet. Harbor City air drifts in off the water and mixes with warm brake pad and concrete dust. There's a cold hum under everything at that hour, like a big fridge you can't see. At 1:13 a.m., a Blacktown car slid in and stopped in a reserved space near the elevator. Evelyn climbed out. Her hair was tight. Her face was flawless. Jaw locked. Eyes hot. She looked like she was still in CEO mode, even though it was after 1 a.m. and she should have been asleep. She wears composure like other people wear coats. She doesn't come off camera, even in private, unless something really tore. Lucas slid out the other side a beat later. Sculpted stubble. Jacket that fit too well to be off the rack. That kind of controlled casual body language you see in startup press shots where they caption him visionary operator, even though he's never had to stay up all night fixing a broken vendor. They were mid-argument. It's noise, Lucas was saying. It's just noise. Colin does this every time funding is close. Priya spins it, he calms down, Chicago forgets. You're acting like the sky is falling because some old guy sent 3 angry texts. Colin said walk. Evelyn said. Her voice edged high then. I heard panic under it. I hadn't heard panic in her voice in almost 2 years. He said the word. He said walk. He said boy toy. He said unlicensed carriers. He said regulatory negligence out loud. Do you know what happens if that word hits Chicago's inbox before we control it? They won't take the meeting, Lucas. They will flat out not take the meeting. They'll cite ongoing compliance review and back away. We will be radioactive. I will be... You signed off, Lucas said. It was your carrier, she snapped. Your override, your cost save. Martin just logged an escalation with legal time stamped before I even saw it. If this ties back to you, I'm not going down alone. Do you hear me? I am not going down for your cowboy idiocy. That landed. He opened his mouth to fight back. I stepped out from behind a concrete column. They both froze. Evelyn saw me first. Her voice snapped from panic to command like a switch. You do not get to be here, she said. Daniel, leave, right now. I am calling security. I am calling the police. You are not allowed here. Leave. Lucas turned and smiled like he'd been waiting his whole life to finally get to talk down to me. Wow, he said. Look at this. Midnight garage stalking. That's a real good look for you, man. This is the part where you start screaming and we get to tell a judge you scared her. I'm not here to scream, I said. You show up in her parking garage in the middle of the night, Lucas said, getting louder. And you don't think that's harassment? You don't think that's threatening? You don't think... I'm here, I said, calm as I could make it, to show you what's about to happen. Then I walked past both of them and stopped at his car. It was a matte gray German coupe, low and smug, with a vanity plate that said BS Strat, brand strategy. His fake title, his whole personality boiled down to 7 letters. "You touch that car," he said, voice climbing, "and I'm calling the cops. I am not joking. I'm calling the cops, and I'm pressing charges, and I'm going to tell them you've been—" "Do it," I said. And then I crouched. I pulled my house key, pressed it to the paint under the taillight, and dragged a slow, steady line all the way to the front wheel. That sound, the metal screaming through the finish, went under his skin like a needle. So did the look on his face. You have to understand men like Lucas. They're not built on character. They're built on reflection. The car isn't transportation. It's self-worth on wheels. It's proof. When I carved that line, I didn't just wreck paint. I wrecked his costume. He lurched toward me like he was going to swing, then stopped. Evelyn said, "Lucas, don't," fast and sharp. That's when he froze. I stood. I looked at the pale wound carved down his perfect car. "I am calling the police," he breathed. His face was blotchy red. His voice thinned. "You psycho. You absolute psycho. You vandalized private property. You're done. You're so done. You're going to jail. You're going to be in cuffs in an hour. I'm not even kidding. You're finished." "In front of cameras that can't actually see the key in my hand," I said. "In a garage I still have legal access to because my wife used my car to get visitor access last week and never revoked it, and my name is still on the mortgage for our condo 2 blocks away, and on a car that was paid for with Hartwind corporate money and then labeled Brand Strategy Advisory Logistics Walkthrough to make it look like a field expense, when actually it's just your toy. Yes, Lucas. Let's get the police down here." He stared at me. I stepped closer. "You don't scare me," he said. His voice aimed for strong but landed on hollow. "You don't. I'm not scared of you. You want that on record? I'm not scared of you. You have never threatened me. You never threatened Eve. You never did anything like that. I'm not scared. Nobody's scared. There. Happy?" He said it exactly like that, like a rehearsed line, which is how you know it would play well later. I held my phone up between us. Recording. "Say that again," I said. He blinked, his eyes cut toward Evelyn. "Lucas," she hissed under her breath. "Shut up." Too late. "I'm not scared of you," he said louder, like he was talking to a jury. Daniel has never physically threatened me. I never said he was unstable. I never said he was dangerous. Nobody's scared. This is just business tension. "Say I never physically threatened Evelyn," I said. "Lucas," Evelyn snapped. He swallowed. "Daniel never physically threatened Evelyn," he said. "He never touched her. He never— Yeah, whatever. Are we done? Is your little tantrum done?" I stopped the recording and slid my phone into my pocket. "Thank you," I said. Evelyn's eyes were burning. "You think that protects you?" she said, voice shaking. "You keyed his car. You literally keyed his car in front of cameras. You showed up in the middle of the night and cornered us. You think one audio clip saves you from what I'm about to do to you? You think I can't end you? You don't understand, Daniel. You are playing with professionals now. I'm not trying to save me," I said. "I'm saving the truth. You are not going to send out that personal safety statement in the morning. You are not going to tell Colin and Chicago that you're in danger from me so they ignore actual compliance questions. You are not going to use the words escalating harassment or protective measures with my name. You so much as whisper that I scared you, and this audio goes to every person you care about economically. And I mean everyone. Colin, the Angels, the Chicago "You can't threaten us," Lucas said. "That's blackmail." "No," I said. "Blackmail is give me money or I'll expose you. I'm not asking you for money. I'm saying stop lying about me being dangerous to cover your compliance breach. That's not blackmail, that's self-defense." "You are crazy," Evelyn said. "You are actually crazy." "Crazy would be me throwing a punch," I said. "Crazy would be me screaming. Crazy would be me showing up with a bat. I didn't. I showed up with paperwork. You know what beats a crying call at 2 a.m.? A clean time stamp. You know that, Evelyn, because you built a career on it." Her mouth tightened. "What do you want?" she snapped. "Name it." "I just did," I said. "You leave my name out of your safety story. You do not try to get a restraining order on fake grounds to force me out of the condo before council actually splits assets. You do not accuse me of harassment, stalking, violence, instability, or escalation. You do not paint me as a threat to your physical safety. You do not try to poison Chicago with a jealous ex is sabotaging me script. You don't try to make me your distraction. You keep my name out of your mouth. In return, I don't." "You can't make demands," she said. "I already did," I said. She tried to muster that old smile, the one with the sharp edges. You think this scares me, she said. You think I'm scared of you standing in a garage with your little phone. I am Evelyn Hart. I talk to senators. I talk to hospital systems. I talk to people you can't imagine being in the same room with. You are a footnote. You are a prop. You are a +1 I polished. You don't get to... You're crying, I said. Her face changed like I'd slapped her. Her hand went to her cheek. It came away damp. She looked at her fingers like they betrayed her. That hit harder than the keyed car. Evelyn does not cry in front of witnesses. Evelyn considers tears weak. She likes tears as a tool when she uses them on the phone with an investor to get sympathy, not as something that leaks without permission. I watched the look on her face when she realized she had just cried in front of me. Something in her eyes broke open. This isn't over, she managed. For you it is, I said. You just don't feel it yet. I turned to go. Behind me I heard Lucas whisper, not to me, not to her, but almost to himself. What did you do? Like he'd watched something important fall out of his hands and smash. I was at the garage exit when Evelyn shouted, Stay away from me forever, Daniel. Do you hear me? You stay away from me forever. I was planning on it, I said, without turning. I pulled the garage door open and stepped into Harbor City's 1:30 a.m. air. It smelled like salt and wet concrete. My hands were trembling. My heart felt like somebody had wired it to AC power. It was the first time in months I felt calm, because now the story wasn't hers anymore. It was ours. 2:32 a.m., Harbor City Marriott Bar. Clean, overlit, corporate carpet. I've always thought hotel bars at 2 a.m. are the most honest places in any city. People have dropped the daytime version of themselves, but haven't had time to build the legal version they'll tell the board in the morning. Priya was already there, tucked in a corner booth. Hair pinned up with a hotel pen, blazer off, sleeves rolled, her laptop open and glowing blue under her face. She looked like she hadn't blinked in an hour. Normally, Priya looks like a sculpture that learned English. Tonight, she looked like a person. You're enjoying this, she said as I slid in across from her. No, I said. Enjoying is Saturday morning coffee with no slack. This is work. Her eyes flashed like a match head. We need to de-escalate, she said. The after-hours price is down 56%. Colin is up my throat. Our angels are texting each other like middle schoolers. Chicago is nervous. If this hits market open, we are going to have cameras in the lobby asking about negligent chain of custody and unlicensed carriers. If Colin thinks he's walking into liability instead of upside, he is going to cut Evelyn loose before breakfast to save himself. I'm trying to keep the... You're not trying to keep Evelyn safe, I said. You're trying to keep the deal from collapsing so Colin doesn't burn you to the ground for failing to control optics. Same thing at this point, she said. No, I said. Not the same thing anymore. Priya stared at me across the table. She used her quiet voice. I've only heard Priya's quiet voice twice. Once when a carrier dropped a crate without temperature confirmation, and now. Listen to me, she said. Colin's going to tell Chicago that you are unstable. He's going to say you can't handle being cut loose. He's going to say you're jealous, vindictive, escalating. He's going to say you're trying to sabotage her. He's going to use words like harassment. He's going to say personal safety. He's going to tell them not to listen to you because you're emotional and dangerous. He already told me, we need to position this like a domestic situation so they don't dig into process. I saw the binder, I said. Her face changed. What binder? She asked, but that was pure reflex. Your crisis book, I said. The one in our kitchen. The one with your pre-drafted personal safety statement. In recent months, escalating harassment from Daniel Cole, the estranged spouse of our CEO, has forced Evelyn to take protective measures. That binder, with yesterday's date on it. Before the pen, before the call. Priya swallowed. You shouldn't have gone through that, she said, a little automatic. It said you're planning to accuse me of harassment and instability to buy time with investors, I said. I think I should have gone through it. Her mouth tightened. I could see her PR brain itching to spin. Then it just dropped. She leaned back and rubbed her eyes like they hurt. You don't understand how fast this moves, she said. Once the safety story goes out, it's not just PR. It's legal scaffolding. It's the restraining order. It's getting you out of the condo. It's getting you blocked from headquarters. It's giving security a script. It's creating a record. It's future statement language for divorce court. It's a file with your name on it labeled risk. You don't get to wash that off. You think this is about a press quote. This is about the rest of your life. I understand, I said. She stared at me like she didn't believe that. No, she said quietly. You don't. You won't get work. You won't get invited in the room. Guys like Colin talk. Chicago guys talk. Your name will come with a whisper. Watch him. He's unstable. Watch him. He caused trouble at his wife's company. Watch him. She had to involve counsel for safety. You will be a story they tell other founders when they talk about how expensive relationships can get. You will be the cautionary tale. They will say your name with, "I'm not letting you do that," I said. Priya blinked. "We already did," she admitted, voice so low I almost missed it. Colin made me send early background language to Chicago at 5:30, high level. Evelyn is dealing with an escalating personal safety matter involving her estranged husband. Please treat any noise from him as the emotional reaction of an unstable ex. We have engaged counsel and are taking appropriate measures. I let that sit in my chest for a second. It felt like dry ice. Play this for Colin, I said, and slid my phone across the table. Priya frowned, hit the screen, pressed play. Lucas's voice filled the booth. I'm not scared of you. Daniel has never physically threatened me. I never said he was unstable. I never said he was dangerous. Nobody's scared. This is just business tension. Then, Daniel never physically threatened Evelyn. The recording ended. Priya went pale. You got Lucas to say that? She whispered. He said it because it's true, I said. She gave me a look that said, please don't insult my intelligence. But she understood. Here's your problem now, I said. You and Evelyn send out a statement saying she's under threat and I'm a danger, and she's in fear for her safety. And 5 minutes later, audio surfaces of her right-hand boy saying, on record, nobody's scared, nobody was threatened, and he never called me unstable or dangerous. You look like liars. Not just liars. Liars manipulating a domestic violence narrative to protect valuation and bury a compliance breach. You know what word Chicago uses when they smell that? Priya flinched at the word. Fraud is the only word rich people fear more than prison. So here's what we're doing, I said. You hold. You do not push out any language about me being unstable, escalating, harassing, dangerous, threatening, stalking, etc. You do not use the words personal safety or protective measures in relation to me. You do not suggest Evelyn is in fear for her safety. You do not tell Chicago, Colin, investors, reporters, security, your dry cleaner, anyone, that I am a danger. You hold off on filing any emergency restraining order narrative. You keep that in the dirt. Priya stared. You're threatening to blow up the company, she said. No, I said. I'm threatening to tell the truth in a way that ends the company. The choice is yours. She rubbed her forehead. You think I'm scared of you? She asked. It wasn't bravado. It was tired. I think you're scared of losing control of the story, I said. Same as Evelyn, same as Colin, same as Lucas. The only difference between me and all of you is I don't need control of it anymore. I just need it not to bury me alive. Her mouth pulled into something like a grim smile. You were always the calm one, she said. You remember that, in the early days? You'd come in with an extra coffee for whoever was crying at their desk, fix whatever carrier mess was on fire, and then disappear before press showed up. We used to joke you were like IT. You only existed when something broke. I remember, I said. I liked you better that way, she said. I didn't, I said. Priya let out a sound that was half laugh, half sigh. She slumped back in the booth. Fine, she said. I'll hold. I'll stall Colin. I'll tell him counsel wants cleaner wording before we send anything official. I'll tell Chicago we're focusing on operational continuity and leadership clarity, not personal matters. I'll sit on the safety story until after the board meets in the morning. I can get you a few hours. After that, I can't promise anything. That's all I need, I said. You're lying, she said. That's all I need for now, I said. She snorted. It had no humor in it. Colin is going to turn on her, she said quietly. You know that, right? He's going to cut her throat the way she was about to cut yours. He'll sell it like responsibility. He'll say leadership transition and stability and operational excellence, and it'll really mean we cut loose the liability to save the deal. I know, I said. And you are fine with that, she said. I thought about that. I pictured Evelyn in that boardroom telling me to pick up her pen. I pictured her on the phone at 7:42 p.m., voice flat, telling me, stay away forever. I pictured Priya's binder with escalating harassment already drafted under my name, printed yesterday like my fate had been set while my toothbrush was still in her bathroom. I pictured her billing Lucas's hotel suite as strategic offsite. Yes, I said. Priya looked at me for a long time. Then she nodded, once like a priest giving last rites. God help her, she said. God had his turn, I said. When I stepped back into the Harbor City night at 3:11 a.m., the air tasted like rain and salt and the inside of a shipping container. Somewhere across the river, a bar back dragged garbage bags down an alley. The city hummed. That was when it hit me what I had actually learned in the last 12 hours. Evelyn didn't decide at 4:17 p.m. to humiliate me. She didn't decide at 7:42 p.m. to dump me. She didn't decide at 9:00 p.m. to paint me as dangerous. She'd pre-written all of this days ago. She had pre-negotiated my erasure with her PR, with her board, and with herself. That was the betrayal. Not the pen, the planning. You want to know the exact moment I stopped being her husband and started being her enemy? It wasn't catching the invoices from Rhode Island. It wasn't hearing Lucas in the background. It was seeing my future already printed in Priya's binder in nice, clean font. I was already a villain in the story they planned to sell. So I decided to become one on my own terms. Hartwind's HQ sits on the water in a steel and glass block meant to look like the future of medicine, but really just looks like expensive anxiety. The lobby smells like eucalyptus and disinfectant and rich people's version of clean. At 8:12 a.m., I walked in wearing yesterday's shirt. Security was waiting by the private elevator. 2 men in jackets. Not cops. Private. Buzzcut and his friend who looked like he'd rather be asleep. "Mr. Cole," Buzzcut said, "you're not cleared to be here. Ms. Hart requested." Ms. Hart texted me and told me to be in the emergency board meeting to clarify technical issues. I lied. She said, and I quote, "Do not be late. This is bigger than you. If you want to explain to her and to Colin why you blocked me from doing what she just told me to do, be my guest, but do it fast. They're waiting." Security guys in buildings like this are not paid to create friction between executives and money. Buzzcut hesitated long enough to tell me I was right. "We'll walk you in," he said. The boardroom was already hot when I stepped in. You could feel it like heat off a grill. Colin was at the head of the table, red around the collar, tapping his Mont Blanc like he wanted to drive it through the wood. Priya sat 2 seats down, pale and wired, lines under her eyes like she'd been awake for a week. Martin sat near the far end, shoulders hunched, hands clasped like he was praying. Lucas was technically in the room, but off to the side, against the glass wall instead of at the table. Indoor sunglasses, bruised ego, silent. Evelyn stood by the big wall screen. Her makeup was perfect again. Her hair was perfect again, suit perfect. Voice reloaded to CEO setting. If I hadn't seen her cry in a parking garage, I'd have believed she was fine. Colin pointed at me the second I cleared the doorway. "Why is he here?" he said, like I was mold. "Because you need him," Martin muttered, mostly to his hands. "Colin," Evelyn said smoothly, "I asked Daniel here for one purpose only. We have a technical misunderstanding spooking some parties. He can clarify. After that, we'll deal with personal matters. Let's keep this professional." She said it like this was all under control. She said it like she was gifting me a seat. She said it for the record in case any lawyer ever had to read a transcript. Watch how composed Evelyn is. Watch how she manages even her hysterical ex-husband. I nodded like I bought it. "Happy to help," I said. "Cut the performance," Colin snapped. "What did you tell my investors last night?" "I told them," I said, "that I saw a high-sensitivity biologic shipment routed through an unvetted discount carrier with QA sign-off bypassed under exec override, that ops had escalated it as a compliance risk, and that if they had exposure, they should ask questions before market open, because any perception of regulatory negligence could hurt valuation in front of Chicago." Colin slapped his palm on the table. "You blew up a deal I've been building for months," he said. "Do you have any idea what you did?" "Colin," Evelyn cut in, that perfect crisis-soothing voice, "you have to understand that Daniel is acting out right now because he's emotionally unstable about our separation. His harassment has been escalating, and—" "Stop," I said. The word came out low. The effect was instant. The room went still. I looked at her. "You don't get to use that word anymore," I said. Her eyes flashed. "You do not get to tell me what I can say in my own boardroom," she said, smile nailed in place. "It's not your boardroom anymore," I said. Colin stabbed a finger at Evelyn. "Did you or did you not approve a QA bypass on a high-sensitivity run to make margin look better before today's Chicago meeting?" he said. Evelyn didn't look at him when she answered. She looked at me like she was warning me not to breathe wrong. "Absolutely not," she said. "Lucas acted outside protocol. I was not informed. The second I became aware, I instructed Martin to log an internal escalation for legal and compliance so there would be a clear record that I had not authorized any deviation from approved carriers." Every face turned to Martin. Martin blinked. "No, you didn't," he said. The room dropped 5 degrees. Her eyes snapped to me. For a beat, it was just me and her in that glass room. There was nothing left between us except rage. "I hate you," she mouthed. I watched her. I remembered the duct-taped window, the cheap pasta, The night she fell asleep with her head on my chest after we landed the first hospital contract and mumbled, "We're going to make it, Danny." I remembered every way she'd rewritten that memory in public as, I did it alone. I mouthed back, "Regret." Her jaw tightened. Her throat moved. Her shoulders dropped half an inch, like the weight finally got real. "Fine," she said out loud. Her voice was flat. "I am stepping down as CEO effective immediately." Colin nodded like a surgeon hearing scalpel. "Priya," he said. "Draft, leadership transition, operational continuity, commitment to partners. Absolutely nothing about mental health, harassment, personal safety, or anything that can be spun criminal. Keep it boring. Chicago likes boring." Priya's hands were already moving. Evelyn leaned toward me across the table, low voice for only me and the security guys. "You think you won," she whispered. "You think you beat me. You didn't. This is a stumble. In a year, I'll be on stage at 2 different conferences telling the story in a way that makes me look like a survivor of betrayal and internal sabotage. I'll sell a book. I'll advise 3 companies. I'll sit on 2 boards. I'll be paid more for my name than you will make in 5 years. You are nobody. You are background. You are a footnote in my first act. I will make sure people only remember you as the unstable I smiled. That rattled her more than anything else this morning. "You keep pretending this was about you and me," I said quietly. "It wasn't. It was about you in the mirror. I just held it up." Her face changed. For 1 second, the CEO shell dropped, and I saw something raw. Panic, fury, shame, all of it, all at once. There was a pen on the table near her laptop. Satin black, sleek, same model she'd dropped by my shoe. I picked it up. Her eyes tracked my hand. I bent it until it snapped. The sound was small and sharp. Every person in that room heard it. Everyone watched the halves fall in front of her. Everyone also saw her flinch. "Security," Colin said. "Walk Mr. Cole out. Politely. We're done with him." Buzzcut stepped behind me. He didn't grab me. He didn't need to. I was already standing. As I passed Evelyn, I leaned in just enough so only she could hear. "You told me to pick it off the ground," I said. "Now you pick up the rest." Her eyes went wide. For a second, she looked like she might actually lunge at me. She didn't. I walked out of that boardroom under my own power, past Lucas in his sunglasses, suddenly very interested in his shoes, past Martin, who looked like he might finally sleep, past Priya, typing like she was cutting a wire on a bomb, past Colin, already dialing Chicago with his polished voice loaded up and ready to lie. My pulse hammered so hard I could taste it. I didn't feel good. I felt finished.